Hello, friends! Welcome to Animal World. Look, today I brought you a mysterious box, completely full of dinosaurs. Also, in today's video, we'll be using the Great Book of Amazing Dinosaurs. You already know that I love it. Since inside we have information about a lot of them, we'll learn some interesting facts. Also, we have some models with us in today's video, like this Stegosaurus, for example. It was characterized by its large, bony plates and a long tail with 4 big spikes at the end, which it used for defense. But now, let's open the box, because inside we have a lot of different models. Look, there are so many! We have both herbivorous and carnivorous dinosaurs, and even a flying reptile. Let's take them all out to learn their names and some of their characteristics.
Guys.
Let's see which one comes out first. And it looks like we have a giant among giants. It's the great Brachiosaurus. This dinosaur lived on planet Earth during the Jurassic period. It was known for its long neck and a small bump on the top of its head. Also, an interesting fact is that its front legs were slightly longer and stronger than its back legs. Since they had to support the weight of this long neck, it could reach more than 25 meters in length.
We'll leave it here and let's see which one comes out next.
And it looks like we have a very interesting dinosaur. It's the famous Oviraptor. The most interesting thing about this dinosaur was its diet, since the Oviraptor mainly fed on dinosaur eggs. That is, it would go to the nests of other dinosaurs and steal the eggs so it could eat them later. As you can see, it had a crest on the top of its head and was a feathered dinosaur. It had feathers all over its body, but most notably, it had a crest of feathers on the back of its head and on its front legs. According to experts, its feathers were very colorful. Also, this dinosaur could run at great speed, since it had to escape from the mothers whose eggs it stole.
Let's leave it here and see what's next.
It looks like we have a big carnivore. This is a Spinosaur. As you can see, it's characterized by this large crest of spines that could reach over a meter in length. Was it a bipedal dinosaur? Its front legs, although smaller, were very useful because it used them to grab meat or food and bring it to its mouth. It had a rather long jaw filled with sharp teeth. Spinosaurus loved to dive into the water, especially to look for food, since it loved to eat marine animals. Was it able to catch large prey? Also, another characteristic is that it usually submerged its whole body in the water, leaving only this large crest exposed. It also used it to regulate its body temperature. Well, now that we know a bit more about the Spinosaurus, let's see which one we get next. Let's see. Voila! We have a pretty big figurine. Also, look, it's not made of hard plastic. We can squish it. As you can see, it was an armored dinosaur called Ankylosaurus. Its skin was almost unbreakable. It was very thick and had spikes all over the top, and it also had spikes on its head. It's like it was wearing a helmet. Also, the most interesting thing is that it had a long tail, which it swung from side to side to defend itself from predators. That's why its hind legs were stronger than its front legs, so it could deliver its powerful defensive tail strike. It was also called the Cretaceous armadillo. And what do you think? What if this time, when we meet a great flying reptile, it flies out of our box? It's the famous Pteranodon. The figurine is quite small, but I love it, especially because it has articulated wings. We can flap them up and down, and we can assemble and disassemble it. I really like it too. Because of the contrast of black, yellow, and white colors, the Pteranodon was characterized by having a large horn on the back of its head, and it also had a strong and pointed beak. It mainly fed on marine animals, so it always flew over areas of seas, rivers, and oceans in search of food. To eat, it would dive down and go into the water. To catch it, it could use either its beak or the claws on its hind legs. The Pteranodon had a long wingspan of more than 2 meters on each of its wings. Its body was quite small and very lean, which allowed it to reach great heights and speeds, since its body wasn't too heavy. We'll leave this flying reptile here. It lived on planet Earth during the same era as the dinosaurs. And we'll continue with another one. It seems that this time we have another animal or another long-necked dinosaur. We've already seen the great Brachiosaurus before, but now we have a different specimen. It's called Diplodocus, and it has some different characteristics compared to the Brachiosaurus. As you can see, the Diplodocus had larger hind legs than front legs, unlike the Brachiosaurus. Also, its neck was positioned more horizontally, while the Brachiosaurus had its neck more vertically.
Do you see it?
Another interesting fact is that, because of its large size, it had to eat hundreds of kilos of food a day to maintain the weight of this huge body. Let's continue with another herbivorous dinosaur, the famous Parasaurolophus. It had a large horn on the back of its head, which was also very peculiar, since this horn was able to make sounds it used to communicate with the rest of the herd. As you can see, its mouth wasn't very big, since it only ate plants, leaves, and grass. Also, another interesting fact is that it was a bipedal dinosaur that walked on its hind legs. However, it was also able to use all 4 legs to run at high speed, meaning it was both bipedal and quadrupedal. I'm seeing another gigantic dinosaur over here, and what stands out the most is its huge head. It's called Triceratops. Throughout history, many fossil remains of this Triceratops have been found, so we know a lot of information about it. As you know, it used its 3 large horns defensively to protect itself from predators. For example, if a big Tyrannosaurus rex came along, it would give a powerful horn strike to defend itself. Also, they lived and traveled in groups or herds, so they could protect each other. Just like other herbivores, it had a strong beak at the tip of its mouth. Do you know what for? It used it to dig in the ground looking for food. Above all, Triceratops loved to eat roots that it found underground. Here's another one. We have just a few animals left inside the box, and it looks like we have a dinosaur egg. Let's remove the protective plastic. At the bottom, we can see the shell with some details, but look, it seems like the dinosaur is inside, ready to come out to the surface. We need to press, since it's a soft figure. Here we go, on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. And here it is. It looks like it's a carnivorous dinosaur. It's red, and as you can see, it's super soft. It seems that when we press it, it fills with air. Also, it feels a little sticky. Look, it's sticking to my fingers. If we press really hard, its head swells up a lot more, but if we press gently, we see that its head is quite small, and it looks like it's waving at us. With its little hands, we can even notice some details in its teeth. Another one over here, and we have one last dinosaur left to meet. This one is another herbivorous dinosaur. It's the famous Styracosaurus. As you can see, it's from the Triceratops family, since it was known for having a crown-shaped skull. However, we can see some distinguishing features. The Styracosaurus only had a large horn on the top of its nose. In addition, its big head was covered with spikes, which were much larger on the top. Generally, the Styracosaurus was smaller than the Triceratops, but it also had this strong beak to dig into the ground. A truly fascinating specimen. And now, friends, we've finished today's video. Here we have all the dinosaurs we've learned about. If you liked this video, you can help me by giving me a super like, a thumbs up, and I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. And now, I'll say goodbye to you all. See you in the next video with more amazing dinosaurs. A big kiss, goodbye, and have a fantastic day.
Bye.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video where we are going to keep learning a lot of information about dinosaurs. these fantastic animals. Here on the cover of our box, we can already see a super predator. It's a Spinosaurus, and it loved to eat marine animals and fish. That's why we're seeing it on the seashore. Also, we're going to use the Great Book of Dinosaurs, since inside we have a lot of information about all of them. Here we can see the great Styracosaurus engaging in a battle against another member of its own species. But we have a lot of different dinosaurs, like this one here, which is very similar to the Ankylosaurus, although with some differences. They were armored dinosaurs that had a ball or club at the tip of their tail, and also a lot of spikes on the top part. And now, let's see everything that's waiting for us inside. Let's see. Look, there are a lot of different figures to learn about their characteristics. We also have some dinosaurs that are going to hatch from their eggs, so let's get to work. It looks like, besides dinosaurs, we're also going to find other types of animals, like this gray wolf, for example. I love this figure because it's one of the soft ones. The inside is filled with little cork balls, and we can also stretch it. As you know, the wolf has quite thick fur, especially around its head and tail, and we can see its large fangs. I've also brought the animal encyclopedia. Inside, we have information about fish as well as animals, mammals, and reptiles. These pages talk about the wolf. I love it because it comes with pictures of the wolf in real life, in its natural habitat, which is where all animals should be. We can see a pack of wolves here, and as you can see, they're in the middle of the snow. Therefore, their fur helps them keep their bodies warm and regulate their temperature. In this photograph, we see it howling. It's impressive. Normally, they live in groups or packs, and there's always a male leader. We'll leave it here and continue with something different. This time we do have a dinosaur. I'm sure many of you already know its name. It's the great Stegosaurus, a herbivorous dinosaur that ate plants, leaves, grass, and fruit. As you can see, it's super soft and relaxing to squish. This dinosaur was quite large and robust. It could reach about 9 meters in length, and it had these big bony plates all along the top of its body, divided into 2 large rows. As you can see, the plates in the middle part are the largest on its entire body. It also had a very special way of defending itself, which was with its tail, where it had 4 spikes that it would swing very quickly to strike its opponents. That's why it had larger and more robust hind legs, since it needed a lot of strength in the back part. On the other hand, its head was very small compared to the rest of its body, and it had a small beak at the tip of its mouth. That was something characteristic of some herbivores. Let's leave the first dinosaur we found here and move on to a different one. What do you think about witnessing the birth of a dinosaur? Inside, we have a pretty small figure, and I love this one right here. I don't know if you already know its name, but you should pay attention to the big claws it has. This is a Therizinosaurus. It was a dinosaur that had its entire body completely covered in feathers, especially in the area of its tail. Here, since it's still a figure of a baby dinosaur that has just hatched from its egg, it's not very big. I like it because it also comes with this platform, and, as you can see, it has the detail of the vegetation, some really beautiful leaves. This herbivorous dinosaur fed on plants. It used its strong claws for 2 different things. First, to defend itself, swinging its claws up and down. But it also used them to tear vegetation and branches from trees.
Now we know more about him.
Let's continue with the next one. And it looks like we have a crocodile. Crocodiles are a type of reptile, and they love to be submerged in water, but they are also land animals. They have a big mouth full of sharp teeth. They usually like to come up to the surface to sunbathe. They stay completely still, so much so that it even seems like they have no life. Their fangs are impressive. One of their tactics for hunting is to stay very still under the water, and when some prey comes close, they open their big mouths and close them very quickly to catch them. As you can see, their skin is super scaly and they have a long tail. They can walk with these 4 legs. And we continue with the next one. This time we have a very well-known dinosaur. As you can see, it's a carnivore. We know this by the shape of its jaw and especially by the teeth it has. This is a velociraptor. Look at these rather long front legs. It also had 3 fingers, and its hind legs were very fast, so they could run at great speed. Velociraptors, even though they weren't very big, were able to catch large prey because they hunted in groups or packs. We'll stop here for now. We still have a lot of dinosaurs left. And what do you think if we get to know this very interesting one? The Triceratops lived on planet Earth during the Cretaceous period more than 65 million years ago to defend itself from predators. It used this big head, which, as you can see, is shaped like a crown. The entire outer part is covered with small spikes, but the most impressive thing was the horns it had at the front. The 2 upper horns could reach almost a meter in length, while the 3rd horn was much smaller. It was a quadrupedal dinosaur that walked on all 4 legs. Next dinosaur. Over here we have an impressive figure. I think it's the biggest one in the whole box. Also, it's very realistic, so we're going to be able to see all the physical details of this dinosaur very well, which is called Giganotosaurus. It had a crest of spikes that ran all along the dorsal part of its body to the end of its tail, and it was a bipedal dinosaur. Its hind legs were gigantic, and that's where it supported all the weight of its body. Its jaw was very large as that of the great Dinosaurio rex, and it was filled with sharp teeth. We can see that its skin was scaly, and if we get closer, we can even see the detail of its tongue. It was impossible to escape from these claws. What I like most about this figure is that if we turn it around, we can see its entire skeleton, where we can appreciate the hollows of its eyes, its teeth, and even the tiny bones that made up its spine. All the way to the end of its tail, there were other gigantic bones, such as the femur bones, located in the hind legs. Impressive, isn't it? Throughout history, dinosaur bones have been preserved as fossil remains. Let's stop here for now. We still have more dinosaurs to discover. And we have another one of the soft figures, with an armored dinosaur, the great Ankylosaurus, which defended itself with the club or ball it had at the end of its tail, and we can even stretch it. The Ankylosaurus was also called the armadillo of the Cretaceous, and as you can see, its head was also armored, and it had spikes on the sides. This made its skin almost unbreakable, so if a super predator came along, it was very difficult for it to sink its teeth into its skin. Let's take a look at the last dinosaur in the box. And also, it's the most striking of all. As you can see, it's a dinosaur with its whole body covered in feathers, and it's very colorful in yellow and blue. As you can see, it has a crest of feathers on the back of its head. We can see that its jaw is quite large, and it has some teeth. Its front legs are also quite long, but the coolest thing is its tail. It really reminds me of a peacock's tail, all full of very long feathers. I really like it, but I don't know the name of this dinosaur. If any of you know it, you can send a message to the email so I can look up information about it and talk about it in another video. And now we finished today's video. I hope you liked all these animals. If you did, you can help me by giving me a super like, a thumbs up. And I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. And now, I say goodbye to you all. See you in the next video with more amazing animals.
Adios!